businesses and getting ahead. Are you frustrated that your numbers not increasing year over year? If you've answered yes to any of these questions, we have a solution for you. Average Black Girl. Average Black Girl is a boutique marketing firm with a focus on marketing strategies, website development, project management, securing sponsorships, working with startups, and many more.
Here at Average Black Girl, I, Danielle Mitchell, am founder and an international marketing strategist with experience working with big box brands from beverage companies to hair companies and many more. I'm using Average Black Girl to help create more Black millionaires by giving tools and strategies to business owners to maximize their growth. Head over and visit my site at averageblackgirl.org and book a session with me. Mention this ad and you will get a free 15-minute strategy session. Kick off the new year making your goals a reality with Average Black Girl, because there's nothing average about this Black girl.
And now, from the Windy City to the world, this is WGHC 98.3 FM, Chicago.
Hello, I'm Jesse White, Illinois Secretary of State.
This is Danielle Mitchell with Average Black Girl.
Hey, this is Don from Our Voice.
This is Jeff Badu from Badu Tax Services.
My name is Agwedima.
My name is Olivier Kamanzi.
This is Chateau.
My name is Eme Adibe.
And you're listening to Progressive Mind.
Progressive Mind.
Progressive Minds with your host, Alinko, on WGHC 98.3.
It's every Tuesday night from 7 to 9 p.m. on WGHC 98.3 FM.
This is Sana, host of Progressive Minds. You can also call me Alinko. Join me every Tuesday between 7 to 9 p.m. Central Time. We'll be coming your way with topical issues that pertain to our community, issues that relate to you and I. Join the #1 community building show in the entire world as we seek to uplift our community. If you're outside the range, just download the TuneIn app on Google Play Store and search for WGHC. If you're an Apple user, just go to your App Store and download WGHC app. You can also ring 563-999-3221 to listen to us live. Search for Progressive Minds on Facebook, like the page, and turn on your notification. You can also catch us on YouTube by searching for Progressive Minds. Progressive Minds, to whom much is given, much is required.
Thy rock and staff, they are with me, they surely comfort me. My table, oh, has furnished in the presence of my foes. My head, oh, half anointed with oil, my cup it overflows. Goodness and mercy all my life shall surely follow me, and in just us forevermore my dwelling place must be. Goodness and mercy all my life shall surely follow me, and in just us forevermore my dwelling place shall be.
Wonderful people of the world, good evening to you from the studios of WGHC 98.3 FM. Your voice, your music, your station. This is your host with the Progressive Mind Show, Alinko. Good evening once again. We thank the Lord for yet another beautiful day, beautiful week that has begun with full of life and opportunities to live for something greater and bigger than ourselves. And so today we're going to be talking definitely about something that is bigger than ourselves, which is Black History Month. As immigrants in the diaspora, we often hear the word or hear the phrase Black History Month, Black History Month. Sometimes we have to question ourselves, do we actually know what Black History Month signifies? Do we know the importance of it? Do we know the history of it? Do we even know what's the embodiment of the phrase Black History Month? And I feel like we have to take time to educate ourselves, and we have no mean of a person than the Reverend Aaron J. Mcleod. He's also an attorney, so I'll just give the full name, which is Reverend Attorney Aaron J. Mcleod, who's going to be helping with the conversation. It is 51 degrees here in Chicago. It's been another good weather since yesterday. And we can always be, we can only thank the Almighty God for this. Today also we are doing the Progressive Minds is doing the telethon, which is basically asking our community and beyond to donate to this radio station every last day of the month, or every last show of the month for every show here at WGHC. This is a new initiative, so we are asking the community to bear with us as we grow together. We encourage every show to do this so we can raise money for our sustenance and for the cause that we stand for, which is injecting positivity in our community, educating, uplifting, and empowering our people and beyond. If you are interested and if you sympathize with what we're doing, we encourage you now to go to wghcfm.org, hit the donate button, and you can make your contribution to us. The updated version of this website has it that you can pick any show that you so love. If you don't want to donate and to any particular show but to the radio station itself, there's also that option. Please go ahead and help us now. So in the course of the conversation, we will be opening the phone line so you can ring in and make a donation. We have our interns and our marketing specialists standing by to take your information to process the payment. This is tax deductible, so you can write them off. We are encouraging you to help us in this manner. We will continue the show this evening with the sports and health updates, and would engage our guest here in the studios of WGHC. In the world of sports, the Premier League, specifically Liverpool, over the weekend, which was between Saturday and Sunday. Liverpool, before I go into the sports though, okay, that reminds me, I would want to take this opportunity to sincerely apologize to the entire Chelsea organization and the Chelsea fraternity, Chelsea fans, and to the community at large, that I made a blatant mistake last week, Tuesday. Whilst I was giving the sports update, I had said that Chelsea had lost to Barcelona during the Champions League, which was played in London. But that was not the case. Actually, it was a tie game. It was a 1-1 game. And, well, being a Chelsea fan, in my heart, I'm like, that's a loss. So I think I carried that on the show, and my reportage was not accurate. And so I take full responsibility of that, and I sincerely apologize. Today, I will go straight. We will talk about a few results that happened over the weekend in the Premier League. So Liverpool 4, West Ham 0, Tottenham 1, Crystal Palace 0, Manchester United 2, Chelsea 1, and then Man City also played. Man City will be playing Arsenal this coming Thursday between, I think, at 1:45 p.m. Central Time. Okay, and that will be it for sports. In the health sector, I'm sure you have all heard about superfood. What's actually superfood? Well, basically, research has it that superfood is basically, they say they're supposed to have very high nutritional values, but again, according to the article here, it says there's no scientific orientation of superfood, but it's generally accepted that superfoods contain high levels of much needed vitamins and minerals. They can also be a source of antioxidants, substances that shield our bodies from cell damage and help prevent disease. While there are a number of common foods that provide these nutrients, there's also an array of more exotic and less mainstream superfoods that are worth getting to know. They are worth getting to know. And some of these are blueberries, kale, salmon, acai, goji berries, cocoa powder, and so forth. Some also say that sweet potato is superfood. And so, if these have high minerals, why not? Just check them out. Even though if you might not be the one that like fruits and vegetables, especially the kales, but you might want to give it a shot. Also, you can research into it further. All right, that would be it for sports, health, and fitness. We will come back after a short musical break, and then we will talk to Reverend Attorney Aaron Mcleod. Stay tuned to Progressive Minds. This is your host, Alinko.
I I was lost inside the desert fortress circling round my head, but thanks to God now I made it out of there. I was just another sheep inside the belly of the beast, but thanks to God now I made it out of there. Guru Guru Meche Leshe, I am Efa, Hallelujah. Guru Guru Meche Leshe, I am Efa, Hallelujah. Guru Guru Meche Leshe, I am Efa, Hallelujah. Guru Guru Meche Leshe, I am Efa, Hallelujah, Hallelujah. This ain't lucky, no. Can't you see the hand of heaven is upon me? This ain't lottery now. This is 40 days and 40 nights. Seek and you shall find. I say more muscle to your hustle, more butter to your bubble, more blessing to the talika. May God give you all the barika. More muscle to your hustle, more butter to your bubble, more blessing to the talika. May God give you all the barika. I was lost inside the desert vultures circling round my head, but thanks to God now I made it out of there. I was just another sheep inside the belly of the beast, but thanks to God now I made it out of there. Guru Guru Meche Leshe, I am Efa, Hallelujah. Guru Guru Meche Leshe, I am Efa, Hallelujah. Guru Guru Meche Leshe, I am Efa, Hallelujah. Guru Guru Meche Leshe, I am Efa, Hallelujah, 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 I see clearly now. Sun's outside and my night has turned to day. I see clearly now. I used to be lost and God showed me.
Welcome back to the studios of WGHC 98.3 FM. This is your voice, your music, your station, and we mean it. Today is the telethon day for the Progressive Mind Show here at WGHC, just as any other show here. And we're calling on the public. We have been blessed with a terrestrial dial for the community. The first time ever an African community has been granted the FM dial to broadcast in their own language, talk about their story, talk about their situations, and better themselves through this platform. Now, the onus is on us to sustain it. We cannot do it all as a few individuals in this organization. The burden cannot be just on us. So far, the community has been wonderful. You have sustained us since our inception from last year up until this time. We thank you so much for all that you've been doing and all that you've done so far. We're getting a lot of recommendations. You guys are doing well. Good job. You have a great thing going on. So we are so much grateful for the encouragement and the motivation. However, we need your financial support because all this is run by finance. All this is sustained with money, actually. So without you adding your pockets to what you were saying, it'd be extremely difficult to keep going at the rate at which we are and to even do better. If we have to improve on our programs, our equipment, even hire personalities and pay and motivate people to come, like even guests to come here, it all depends on how you're going to help us. So this month, our target is $10,000. My target today is $1,000. If one of you can call and say, hey, I want to give you $1,000, my job is done for today, and you can write it off and get the money back. So you're killing two birds with one stone. You're helping a good cause, and you're also getting the money back. So please help us today achieve that goal. The number will be given to you later in the show, so you can do that. But in the meantime, you can go on our website, wghcfm.org, hit the donate button, and you can go ahead and make that contribution or donation to us. Good evening, Reverend Attorney Aaron J. Mcleod, to the Progressive Mind Show.
Glad to be here, sir. Thank you for the invitation.
You're welcome. This is where we try to build our community, conversation by conversation, show by show. Mm-hmm. And so we are glad that you made it here. I got in touch with you through the Honorable Minister Lawrence, a great lady who has been on the show,
Yes.
who is fighting the cause of slavery in Mauritania.
Yes.
A wonderful lady, and I really appreciate her connection. You're an attorney and also a reverend minister. Mm-hmm. Your passion is to preach the word, sing, and do God's work. You are a contract preacher, a pastor with St. Stephen's Evangelical Lutheran Church. When you say a contract pastor, first of all, what is that? And what gives you so much joy in preaching God's word, singing, and doing God's vocation?
Gotcha. So I am ordained clergy within the United Church of Christ, and we have what we call open table with the Evangelical Lutheran Church. And with that, I'm able to serve them as a result of our contract agreement between both of our denominations. So I'm the pastor of the church. Mm-hmm. The reason why I love to preach is because I love the challenge of disseminating meaningful ideas about this person known as the radical Christ, a black Jesus from Nazareth, who was from the ghetto, the poor man who has come, an unusual suspect, if you will, to liberate the world through the means of justice witness. In Luke 4:8, which is the mission statement of Jesus' work, it says, the Spirit of the Lord is upon me, and he's anointed me to give sight to the blind, to liberate those who are poor on the margins, to preach the acceptable year of the Lord. The only reason why I preach is to cultivate a thought, an imagination that we can build stronger and safer communities through engaging people to do what is right, to embrace the words of the Old Testament prophet Micah, to do justice, to love mercy, and to walk humbly before God.
Wow. That's excellent. You are also an attorney, and you are executive director for projects at the Trinity Church of Christ, which is headed by Dr. Ortiz Moss. Okay. I also realized that you practice, your practice involves non-profit law and estate planning. Why do you do? You are obviously a brilliant person with all this educational backgrounds, which I'll go into a little bit. But you seem to be doing a lot. You seem to be using a lot of your intelligence for communal or non-benevolent projects.
Yeah.
What's the motivation?
I tell you, my brother.
I mean, non-profits. I meant to say non-profit and benevolent projects.
Yeah. Let's focus on the notion of benevolent projects,
Okay.
right? For me, my law practice is ministry. When I first went to law school, I was running from the call of ministry. At the time, I was married to my first wife, and we were up in Cambridge. She was in the throes of beginning her professorship. I was trying to find my way. I was in divinity school, and to make myself happy and to make the marriage happy, if you will, I was like, let me go out and attempt to be a powerful corporate attorney.
Okay.
Not understanding that there are systems in place that will not allow us on the margins, if you will, to partake in the ways, if you will, of the empire. Not so much if we were granted access, because some of us are, but you work, if you will, to push forth ideologies that arguably I don't agree with. So with that, I started practicing for a mid-sized Chicago law firm to no avail, defending cases, insurance defense, not really challenging work, but really wasn't what I went to law school for. I went to law school as, a divinity graduate, a trained clergy person, to really effectuate justice, to use skills in alternative dispute resolution, negotiation, to navigate or to negotiate with the powers that be to let our people go, and to advocate for the marginalized, to advocate for the oppressed. So with my practice, a lot of it, I give away information for free. It's educational in nature. I feel that where people lack knowledge, they perish. So I try to cultivate a communiversity, if you will, within my ministry, within my network, to ensure that people don't lack or don't progress because they don't have the necessary information.
You attained your doctorate of jurisprudence from the University of Iowa in 2006. 2006, right?
Yep.
Okay, and then you also distinguished yourself as a Law Opportunity Fellow at the Thurgood Marshall Fellow, and a Thurgood Marshall Fellow as a chair of the Alexander J. Clark chapter of the National Black Law Student Association. You obtained your Master of Divinity from Harvard University, actually, in 2003. Your concentration was leadership, public policy, community-based ministry, which you just mentioned. You also attended MIT, which is where you attained your school. Actually, that's where you went to School of Management at.
Yeah, I took some courses at MIT. and Harvard Business School while at Harvard.
Right. And so, and you also had you also had a public education with the at Northwestern University as in 2013. Okay. The reason why I'm mentioning all these schools is it looks like you have had a stint with all the some of the major Ivy League schools.
Yeah.
It tells me how brilliant you are, and after all this brilliance, you decided to use it for the benefit of the community.
Yes.
Which is so admirable and outstanding. You also a card member of the NAACP and Rainbow Coalition and so forth. Your accolades are a lot, and time may not permit us to go into all of it.
No worries.
But you're obviously a very huge guy, and I'm presuming that you may have been a football or basketball player.
Basketball,
in your college
yes, sir.
days.
Yes, sir. I was played competitive basketball from the time I was 6 until I finished high school. Was about 18 years old, and then I played 1 year when I was over in England studying, and I coached the team there. So,
what's your ambition to get into the NBA?
You know, my father was a professor, and he thwarted my dreams of playing professional basketball when I was about the 3rd grade. My dad was an avid golfer and an avid chess player. And he said, Aaron, if I ever meet a young kid who plays chess, he says, I have a respect for them versus a kid who says they want to play, football, basketball, or baseball. I was like, but Dad, you can earn a scholarship and, you could do all these wonderful things and you make more money. But he was conveying to me at the time the privilege, but more importantly, the utility of a cultivated mind to be able to think, to be able to rationalize, to be able to solve problems. So, I love professional sports, not as much as I used to. I see a lot of the negative aspects of it, the exploitation that takes place, particularly in college sports. And even though we see it as if there's some parity in professional sports, the Washington Post journalist wrote a book entitled The $40 Million Slave. So, you have this privileged small percentage of people who own professional basketball and football and baseball teams, none of which, if only one, even when you look at the breakdown, the percentages are owned by people of color. And so to that end, it kind of is what it is.
Okay. What is your take on the importance of family, and yes, family in the center of your career and your journey up to this time?
Yeah, I stand on the shoulders of my ancestors. My grandmother had a 3rd grade education. She worked as a domestic worker for a Jewish doctor in New Jersey and afforded my mother, in particular, the opportunity to earn a college degree and paid and contributed to me and my sister's college education. Education was very, very, very important. My parents were very fortunate. They were the first ones in their family to obtain a college degree. And out of all their siblings on the respective sides, the only one to earn a college degree, primarily at the behest of their fathers. Both my grandfathers were veterans of the United States military, well-read. They did not earn a college degree, but they had a vision for their children to become educated. I grew up on the campuses of 2 historically black colleges in Raleigh, North Carolina, Shaw University and St. Augustine's College. We had an extended family within the students who my parents mentored. I looked at them as big brothers and sisters, and we're still in contact today. But the family value of education, self-sacrifice, and this whole notion of communal living in communal existence is something that was real pronounced in my household. Okay. It's something we champion today.
Excellent point, and thanks for giving us that background. Mm-hmm. It's interesting that you mentioned something earlier with regards to the importance of, obviously playing sports and be good at sports versus, the example you gave from your dad, which is, he would prefer someone who's good with chess and all that, to the effect of using the mind and training your mind and being good at the mind or being good upstairs as well as being good in sports. My point is that we had a lady on our show last week called Charity Nkpe, a Nigerian descent, but obviously an American now, who had been working for NASA for over 10 years. I mean, she's had a long experience with NASA, and she's now basically giving back to the society with all the skills that she has acquired with knowledge, which is trying to encourage young people, especially girls, in the area of STEM, science, technology, engineering. Yeah, you know what I'm saying, and which I found very profound because hers is, well, if it's good to know sport. It's good to have the gifts in sports and do sports, but it's also important that we train ourselves not only in education, the youth in our community, not only in education but specifically in STEM, because science is the future. And so we have to start encouraging our young people to start having interest in STEM, and more so young ladies as well. So I really appreciate what she's doing. Again, what you said just brought my mind to her vision and her goal and her project, which is called Engineers in Heels.
Nice.
Yes.
Love it.
Yes.
Great marketing. Great branding.
Actually, Engineers in Heels. So maybe afterwards you can check it out or check it out. If you have young people, you might want to talk to her and check this out. Let's talk about Black history. From my research, I understand that in 1926, there was this gentleman known Carter G. Goodson. He coined a name. Then it was a Negro Week history, if I'm allowed to use the word for the purposes of this conversation. He also chose it, the Negro Week history, if I'm correct in that sense, in conjunction. Actually, he chose it to coincide with the month of Abraham Lincoln and then ex-President Douglas.
Frederick Douglass.
Yes, Abraham Lincoln and Frederick, which their birthdays falls in the month of February. Now, my thing is, what's the correlation there?
Well, the correlation historically is that there's a feud really between Frederick Douglass and Abraham Lincoln. After the Emancipation Proclamation, which ended slavery, in particular on January 1, 1863, prior to that, Frederick Douglass lobbied Abraham Lincoln. We knew that we had to free the slaves, not because of a humanitarian effort, not because of a moral ethic, but because of economic means to grow the Union, to grow the industrial movement of America. And with that, Abraham Lincoln wanted to send freed Black slaves to dig the Panama Canal and die like the French. It was Frederick Douglass who, at the research of J.A. Rogers, reported that Frederick Douglass indicted Abraham Lincoln, argued with him, debated him, and eventually convinced him not to do that. And so Frederick Douglass is a great giant of a man when you take into regard African-American history and the American history in general, through his writings, through his newspaper, through his speeches. Not only was he championing issues for Black people, but he was also a suffragist, a women's suffragist as a man, to fight for women's rights as well. So the correlation between the two is not one that's hunky-dory, but it's one that's really prolific, whereby the underlying desire of Carter G. Woodson in finding Negro History Week, and mind you, you said not to be offensive, the word Negro is not negative. It's the difference between Negro and the N-word. The N-word means that you're uncouth and you're nasty. But the word Negro is an anthropological term. In Spanish, negro. In French, it's a derivative of the word black, or to be dark skinned. So it's not
be Afro.
Yes. So the underlying impetus behind it was so that children would understand their history, even in the midst of growing up amongst Jim Crow slavery, even in the midst of the remnants of slavery and its injustices and the hardships of Reconstruction, that we are great people. We have a great history.
Absolutely.
And through that, self-efficacy would begin to develop within the race if we know from whence we come.
Tell us about Carter J. Goodson himself.
Carter G. Woodson.
Yes, I keep saying Woodson. I'm sorry. Yes.
Coal miner, West Virginia, came from a poor family. When you look at our school system now, where we go to school from September until June, and you have the summers off, that's an agrarian model. That's very rural in nature, but we went to school in those times so that you had the summers off to cultivate the harvest. In his story, he could not go to school full time until he was 17. He was self-taught. He came from a big poor family of miners, ended up finishing high school at the age of 21 in 2 years. From there, became a teacher and a schoolmaster, then went to school part-time at Berea College, which is a very selective liberal arts college in Kentucky. Finished Berea College, then earned a bachelor's and a master's from the University of Chicago, and then ultimately in 1912 earned the PhD from Harvard University.
Sounds like a very smart guy.
Yeah. But what does that mean? What does that mean?
Right.
It's not so much that he has the validation of the University of Chicago, Berea College, or Harvard University. What that means is, as a marginalized African American in 1912, he overcame large amounts of adversity to become educated.
How did he do that?
One, through the discipline or the desire to be taught.
Okay.
He was self-taught. Two, being in the right place at the right time. We go to college, from 18, by the time I was 28, I've been in school for 10 years and have earned 2 master's degrees. Different paradigm. His parents weren't college educated. Not to say that just because mine were, everything was hunky-dory. It wasn't. With him, he had worked, gone to school, gone back to school, actually served principal of a school in the Philippines. He had international exposure. He was a determined gentleman who was just fascinated with our history, fascinated with history overall, but really wanted to carve out his research agenda to promote African American history. Founded Negro History Week, wrote some seminal text about the Negro experience. Everybody should read his book, The Miseducation of the Negro. Seminal text. For all intents and purposes, it is your black card to have that knowledge. But the goal was to create self-efficacy amongst young people to understand and know their history and from whence they come.
Wow. And were there, in his time, obviously there were so many challenges, but I would want to know if you are aware of some of the very significant challenges that could have prevented him, because at the time, black people didn't have the liberty to do a whole lot of things. So how was he able to achieve this by establishing Negro Week, which became a week of observation for the black community up until now? How was he able to establish that up until?
He was a bootstrapper. Okay. And we say bootstrapper, we talk about people who pick themselves up by their own boots, but and not to say that anybody didn't help him along, but in the truest sense of the word, he worked and made a way. Now you say, well, how do you do that? What does it mean post-Reconstruction, Jim Crow South, to be a coal miner, a low-wage worker, living in sharecropping arrangements? He had no resources. So you had poor housing, no access to meaningful health care or food, no access to education. But before 1912, he has done something that the average white person, if you will, the average upper middle class person has not achieved educationally.
Okay.
Okay.
What is now he is being able to establish Black history, which will be basically the purpose of it is to maybe give credence to the struggle of Africans who migrated. Africans who came here through slavery.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is that the only significance of it? Is it only to remember the story and everything? What are the other significance of Black History Month?
When you look at Black History Month was created to celebrate our history.
Okay.
All right. But then you have to look at it from its different paradigm shifts. So you look at somebody like Sheikh Anta Diop, who wrote on the history of Black civilization. You look at somebody like John Hope Franklin, who wrote From Slavery to Freedom, which really gives our story, which includes the Middle Passage, which is the sojourn from the coast of West Africa to the Caribbean and to the eastern shore of the United States, working from the north down to the south. We still don't even talk about the trans-African slave, which comes from East Africa, Asia, down through South Africa, working the slave trades within the continent of Africa, and then coming over to North and South America from Canada, North America, Central America, South America, particularly the country of Brazil, which many people don't recognize that outside the continent of Africa has the second largest population of people from the African diaspora. So it's not necessarily to highlight the significance of slavery, which in my faith tradition, particularly coming from the Trinity United Church of Christ, we call it the Mayafa, all right? We deal with that. But we also look at some of the cultural paradigms. We look at what has Black people, or people from the African diaspora, done to help enliven, acculturate, season America. Jazz music, blues music, food, cuisine. But more importantly, our commitment in the spirit of the sister who was running the engineering program.
Oh, yes. Charity?
Yeah. Science and technology.
Yeah.
A Black man discovered. Garrett A. Morgan, Benjamin Banneker discovered or invented the traffic light. D.C., Washington, D.C. was platted out by a Black man.
Right.
All right. Carbon filament, Lewis Latimer, Black man. Granville T. Woods, the telephone transmitter, Black person.
You mean the telephone transmitter was
invented
by a Black man?
Granville T. Woods. All right. And so Alexander Graham Bell gets a lot of credit, but without Granville T. Woods, we would not have what we know as a modern day telephone. The first open heart surgery took place by a Black doctor here in Chicago, over in Hyde Park at the Providence Hospital.
Wow. First heart surgery.
Yeah. Open heart surgery, Black man. My point is saying that that's the purpose of Black History Month, because so much in our country, when you look at the archetype of Black, it's opposite of white. White is pure, pristine. Black negative, evil.
Yeah.
So that's why we use terms not Black per se, but African American.
Okay.
The African diaspora. I didn't learn about that until I got to college.
Right.
You know, and I thought I was coming home saying something very erudite and astute to, my friends and my people, my community. But my point in saying that is that the spirit of the struggle of championing African American history was to let Black people or people from the African diaspora know that we're special, because everything that we saw in the media, everything that was pressed down upon us, segregated schools, segregated bathrooms, poor housing, suggests that we were second-class citizens, that we were less than. But Negro History Month, the work of Black scholars, Elaine Locke, W.E.B. Du Bois, Booker T. Washington, all of their efforts, even Marcus Garvey, was to champion that Black people are special, that we have value, that we have history. But the reason why a lot of people didn't have the efficacy is because our history was taken from us. We didn't know.
Okay. You're still locked on to WGHC 98.3 FM, your voice, your music, your station. This is your host, Alinko. We are here talking to the Reverend Attorney Aaron J. Mcleod on the issue of Black History Month. We also are embarking on our telethon as a station and as a radio talk show. And so please, if you're listening right now, please share, if you're listening and watching us on Facebook, please share the feed so we can all educate ourselves at this point. We also are encouraging you in the spirit of donation to call a friend, call a sibling, a coworker to make a donation to us right now. It's very easy. All you got to do is find our website, WGHCFM. W for whiskey, H for hamburger, G for golf. No, okay, you stop confusing me. Okay, W for whiskey, G for golf, H for hamburger or hunger, and then C for Charlie. FM, yes, okay. Geo says Chicago. Okay, C for Chicago. FM.org, O-R-G, and then hit the donate button and make a donation to us. You can call us right now at 773-942-7167. Whilst we're having the conversation, please give us a ring right now. Okay, please go ahead and do that. 773-942-7167. And we have a specialist here who's going to take your call and process the payment for you. You can tell us how much you want to pay, or you don't have to say it, but please do so at this moment and keep sharing the feed. We have a few folks joining us on Facebook. Don Dart is watching us. What's up, my big brother? Long time no see ya. Thanks for joining in today, Don Dart. Please share the page for me, okay, my brother. Tete, Onukba, Naweche. Yes, I. Maya Allen says yes. And Rebecca says, blacks are powerful. Yes. Juliana Tiwa is also watching us. And then Maya says, second largest in Brazil. She also says, it's also to celebrate and also realize slavery was not the start of African history, but a celebration of our excellence through the face of triumph.
Mm-hmm.
You agree?
Yeah.
Parkwesi Sam is also watching. NK, the boss here, is also watching. And Maya again says, when education was a deadly political decision. She also added that that's right, almost in the face of death to be educated. Maya knows and agrees to a lot of things you were saying. Thank you, Maya, for sharing your thoughts and comment, sending your comment in. Regina Ya Obin, thank you so for always helping us and for always supporting us. And Maya again agrees with you, Rev. Charity Osugo says, yeah, go Engineers in Hills. And then Johnny Woods is also watching. Thank you, Johnny Woods. Doc Lee Simmons says, go ahead now, the Reverend Attorney. Sally Agbenyo, Gbetomenyo, thank you. Eddie Kwame Wasco, my brother. What's up, bro? And then Nana Abba, Kweku Asamoah, Florence Datson, Empress Mausi, Todia Afua, Mafona Lo Davi, Alinama. Mausi Love, champion of the Hododio show here. You have to check them out every Monday, 8 to 10, the most amazing show here at WGHC. And we have a few folks. Eto Namgo Ka. Thank you so much for joining the conversation. Joseph, I mean, you guys watching. Joseph, the phone line has been open now. It's 773-942-7167. Reverend, in the course of the history of African Americans here and in the struggle, we know Dr. Du Bois, we know Marcus Garvey, we've heard of the most common name on the lips of everybody all over the world is Dr. Martin Luther King and all those great men. They have all helped in the history and the cause of the Black history. Which one of these? They have all helped. Which one of these? First of all, if you can just briefly give us an overview of their significance, okay? These key ones, the significance to the story and the struggle, and then which one of these would you say has played the most vital role in this cause?
It's interesting. The first book that I read growing up, I was what we call a chapter 1 reading student. In elementary school, I had a problem with what we call reading comprehension. To read 5 paragraphs and tell you what I read was a struggle for me. And so I had to take extra remedial reading courses and eventually came up to par. The first book that I ever read was Come Meet Martin Luther King by James Dickey. Growing up, Martin Luther King was everything to me. I attended Morehouse College, which is his alma mater. So I was there with a bunch of young men at the time who felt a call, some of them to emulate Martin Luther King, but at least a call to be leaders within our community, civically, economically, politically, if you will. Morehouse men, at one time we had 3 in the U.S. Congress. Now we're leading major cities like Birmingham. Atlanta has had several Morehouse men as mayors. The whole influence of Martin Luther King has been big. Mm-hmm. But here's a problem. For those who are not really seasoned or astute in African American history, Martin Luther King has become a cop-out for the creators of public school curriculums to say, we address Black history. They'll put a paragraph about, the civil rights movement, talk about his history and education, and really do a disservice to his contribution to America. They won't talk about how there was a well-executed, systematic front to keep Black people marginalized through poor housing, poor education, poor healthcare, poor food. And there are a myriad of people who champion the cause for the liberation of Black folk.
Right.
A lot of whom, in your list, you just said all women, all men. Mm-hmm. No one talks about the likes of Ella Baker. Nobody talks about the likes of Septima Clark. Nobody talks about, the Freedom Schools, the Highlander Schools. Nobody talks about Mary McLeod Bethune or Dorothy Height.
Okay, who are those people, and how did they contribute to the cause of African Americans in this country? Before you answer that, we have a caller on the line.
No worries.
Caller, please tell us your name and where you're calling from.
My name is Rebecca, and I want to congratulate you, Reverend. You're doing a very good job. I'm so proud of you, and I'm very proud of you because we need this knowledge. Mm-hmm. Most of us as Blacks, we don't know where we come from. We don't know who we are. But it's to the listeners, they will know. Now they know most of the history and how they also impact in people's lives. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm so impressed, and good job.
To God be the glory. You're welcome.
All right. Thank you so much. Please remember that your contributions, this is the telethon day for the Progressive Mind Show. So please, if you support the Progressive Minds, what we stand for and what this radio station stands for, which is to educate, empower, and uplift our community, which is the same goal for the Progressive Minds, please go on our website now or call us right now, okay? It's 773-942-7167. Your contributions towards us help maintain our equipment, obviously take care of our overhead, help with our rent, and also our events, our upcoming events. We know that you have supported and helped us in the past years or in the past months, this year, and you also want us to be doing a lot of programs. I get people saying, oh, you guys, why don't you do this? Why don't you do this event? Why don't you should be organizing event every now and then. Yes, we know that. But it takes money to do this, and it takes people to implement these events. So if you don't have the resources, it's difficult to implement all these good plans that we have. So call now and make a donation to this cause. All right. It's 773-942-7167. We are waiting for your call for the specific for today. We're definitely waiting for your call, and the donation drive does not end today, but today we're definitely waiting for your call specifically for that. Please go ahead with these female names that you mentioned, and how they have helped the struggle of the black people in this country.
Okay.
In the diaspora. Actually.
No worries. So I'm gonna start with a figure, and then go back to Africa, and then come back and then go forward.
Okay.
So you talk about Harriet Tubman. All right, Harriet Tubman was a conductor of the Underground Railroad, which was an underground network of people that she led, leading slaves to freedom in the North. All right. Okay. Then you look at people like Frederick Douglass, who was an abolitionist, who whooped his slave master, literally whooped his behind because he whooped him because he could read. And eventually escaped and began to use his freedom to advocate for Black people in America. You look at people like Sojourner Truth, a suffragist, a womanist, who said, "Ain't I a woman?" So when Elizabeth Cady Stanton and her cohort of white women were forging ahead for women's rights, she was not only an ally of them, but she also championed issues for all people of color, men and women. And so you fast forward.
Rosa Parks.
Rosa Parks. Now, Rosa Parks comes later on in history. So
all right.
Before you get to Rosa Parks, you have to deal with the forebears of our, not necessarily history, but people who really began to lead the way for our justice witness movement. You have the Pullman Porters, and it's all really rooted in our quest for economic freedom, our quest for economic freedom, which also translates to educational opportunities. So you're talking about the likes of people like W.B. Du Bois, who was a sociologist, Harvard trained, first African American from Harvard to earn a PhD. Well before King comes on the scene, well before Carter G. Woodson. From there, Mordecai Wyatt Johnson, second African American to give the commencement speech at Harvard. You may say, well, why is Harvard? Is Harvard the litmus test? No, it's not. But from one commencement speech, Rosenthal.
Was that female or male?
Male.
Okay.
White philanthropist. Okay. Recommended that he, as a result of a speech, become the first African American to lead Howard University. You may say, well, why is that significant? Howard University is the only federally funded historically Black college in the country. Why? It sits in D.C. D.C. is a district of the federal government, District of Columbia. It's not its own state, but it is a federal entity nonetheless. So you have this university founded by General Howard, an abolitionist, but a Black man comes and advocates for it to receive its allocation of federal funding from the Appropriations Committee. Huge. We call Howard the capstone of Negro education. Why? Because it has professional schools in dentistry, medicine, law, religion, arts, and sciences that have fueled, and business, mind you, that have fueled the economic, social, and educational development of our country. At one time, if you did not matriculate through Howard, you would not become a doctor. You would not become a lawyer. So we still haven't gotten to King yet.
Wow. Yeah.
Then you get to King's mentor, King's advocate, Benjamin Elijah Mays.
All right. Tell me about him.
Pullman Porter, who eventually earned a PhD in religion from the School of Divinity at University of Chicago. Was from 96 South Carolina. Both of his parents were sharecroppers. And when I say sharecroppers, they worked on somebody else's land for pennies on the dollar, cultivated the land or got all the crops off the land, gave the money back or the crop back to the person who owned the land, and they only gave them a minimal portion of the proceeds. And they went back and played and did that work all again. Never put them in a position of ownership, never put them in a position to build wealth for themselves to be, truly self-determining. All right, so now we're kind of working our way to King, but then you got people like James Farmer, also another civil rights leader, Whitney Young, was very influential with the Urban League. All these people, A. Philip Randolph, the Pullman Porter, the labor movement, all working for civil rights, but also economic rights, which fuels our ability to, buy into this dream of life, pursuit of happiness, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So when you take the heroism of a Harriet Tubman, you got to look at Queen Nzinga from the Caribbean. You got to look at other women who didn't grace, if you will, the continent of Africa, but fought other forms of oppression and led other meaningful fights to liberate Black people. So, even when we talk about this whole notion, just follow me here, education. They keep opportunities of higher education from us when the first universities were in Africa. The University of Timbuktu. This whole notion of wealth. As a kid, when you talk about Africa, the only thing that we would see on TV was a white actress, Sally Field, with black children who are malnourished with flies flying all over them. Not to know that before Bill Gates, there was Mansa Musa.
Mansa Musa of Mali.
Yes. So the real issue is, my brother, is that there is a scheme afoot even today in 2018 with the unfortunate regime in Washington, D.C. that still wants us to think that we're dumb and stupid, that, we are out taming animals, we're riding on the heads of lions, that, we are, that there's nothing good that comes from black people from the continent. And it's actually even perpetuated on the continent. I just got back from South Africa less than a month ago. Was blown away that 90% of the population lives on 10% of the land. Legally took land from black farmers, gave them over to white farmers. And when Mandela came into office and with the new regime of the ANC, they're now saying to get the land back from the white people who stole the property, that it must come at market rate and what we call here in America eminent domain. But I think there's about to be a shift in that, just like it took place in Zimbabwe.
And
Botswana, I think, as well.
Yeah.
They're taken by force.
Right. Zimbabwe, I think, Mobutu was very extremely radical, I would say, to the detriment of his country and his people. He had a point, but I think he took it too far, in my opinion. But we will come, you might want to expatiate a little bit on that. We have a lot to talk about tonight. It's a minute to the hour of 8 p.m. Central here in Chicago. Please bear with us. We will go in for a musical break. We'll come back and continue the conversation. We're still encouraging you to show your love and your support to the show and the station. As we said, your contributions goes towards our overhead here, the light bills, all the bills, and also the projects and events that we have coming your way this year. They're very educative and impactful, but without your help, it'll be difficult to achieve these things. So please stay tuned to WGHC 98.3 FM. This is your host, Alinko. We shall be right back.
Africa unite, 'cause we're moving right out of Babylon, and we're going to our father's land. Yeah. How good and how pleasant it would be before God and man, yeah, to see the unification of all Africans, yeah. Has it been said already? Let it be done, yeah. We are the children of the Rastaman. We are the children of the Iron Man. Africa unite, 'cause the children wanna come home, yeah. Africa unite, 'cause we're moving right out of Babylon, and we're grooving to our father's land. Yeah. How good and how pleasant it would be before God and man to see the unification of all Rastaman. Yeah. Has it been said already? Let it be done. I tell you who we are.
dancing begins.
Give me the beat, give me the beat, street beat, you give me the beat, yeah. And listen to that part, yeah. I want to do it. Maybe give them another big shot banger. Let me take you way back into December. Remember the thing where we do just between me and you, mommy, the army dender. In a the Dutch Avenger. Girl, promise me say you surrender. Say me and you, we go die together. But you put my life in danger. I never know you and I will be over. Power Saba. Never know you and I will be over. Power Saba. Wherever you did, I know you missing me. Power Saba. Pray to find someone just like me. Power Saba. Yeah, Naomi. Oh, Naomi, no, Naomi. Naomi, oh, Naomi, no, Naomi. Naomi, oh, Naomi, no, Naomi. Naomi, oh, Naomi, no, Naomi. They counting milli, give me 90 milli. You just see I'm feeling. Don't be silly. I can never the willy. Himself, you dey feel every day. You dey calling me. You dey want my money in it. Every day you dey calling me. That style is funny in it. Don't you know, say, sick and better. Limpedede, one go after. Dembele, Katia Yara, ya fan the fala, ya penisala.
Here is where we build our community, and it is a Progressive Mind show at WGHC 98.3 FM. We're still waiting on your donation. Look, $1 is $1, $10, $5, 20. It doesn't matter. As long as you can call in and give us something. If you don't want identity to be revealed on air or the amount you're going to be donating on air, that's fine. We have our standby specialist here who will take your information. If you want to stay anonymous, that's absolutely fine. We'll make sure. We make sure of that. From $1 app is accepted, and so go ahead and call us now. It's 773-942-7167. This is the Progressive Minds Telethon Day, and I am encouraging our listeners and all of you who have been encouraging us to show your love today. And so please call us now, 773-942-7167. All we can do is to try and get this going by ourselves, but we also need your support. We thank you for what you've done in the past days, in the past weeks and months. Going forward, we need more of your support, and not just the encouragements and so forth. So please call us right now. Call into the sugar right now. This is when we need your help your help and support the most right now. Selassie, I know you're listening to me. Call right now and make your donation from $1 up. Anything is accepted. Reverend Attorney Aaron Mcleod, you have done so well so far, by educating us with regards to what Black history is. You've also told us some significant persons who have contributed to the struggle. There's a few comments here by Maia, and I would like to read them. It's a number. Okay, if you're watching on Facebook, it's a number that has been given out. Our specialist has given a number out. It's 574-741-205. 574-741-205. This is in addition to the station's number that I just gave you if you want to make $1 or up contribution. Miss Sarah says, what's the number to call and donate? Miss Sarah, now you have the number. Maia Ellen says, we are experiencing a large shift in South Africa coming to America, those who have stolen land from the locals. Maia, you have a lot of information. Please, if you want to call us and share some of your views and your knowledge, I think it would help us a lot. She also said there is already a shift in SA by force to liberate Black people in Haiti, Jamaica,
Brazil, and other surrounding islands. Again, from Maia. Floyd Wood says, teach family. Thank you so much for your support, Floyd Wood. We'll also can use your support financially if you may. Floyd, just call in now. The number is on the Facebook feed. Call in now. Dollar up donation is all we're asking. She says, C 1804 Haitian Revolution. All right. I really wanted to read all your comments, Maia. There's a lot of them and others. So please call Maia and share this wonderful information that you have. It's very educative, and I think it'll be very helpful. Please tell us, Reverend Mcleod. It's been so many years we've gotten here. There's been a lot of struggle. Tell us right now in terms of statistical data, what it is, how is it looking for the Black community, economic-wise, the economic statistics of the Black economy. If you may give us a little brief so we can understand what the current state is.
Not good.
Okay.
Not good at all. We still lead in the numbers as far as mass incarceration is concerned. The numbers of percentage-wise of African Americans, in particular African American men, unemployment is high, much higher than other racial groups, particularly white Americans, as well as other minority groups, Asians, and Latin Americans, Hispanics as well. But here's the problem. Paradigm shift. Education is the key, but the notion of us being educated historically is for people to see us as equals and to give us opportunity. The notion of using our education to execute entrepreneurial endeavors is something that's foreign to a lot of African Americans. What I try to tell young people today is produce. My best friend from law school, Curtis Tarver, who's running for state rep down in Hyde Park, is a brilliant attorney, litigator par excellence, but he also owns a brewery.
Okay.
You know, his little 4-year-old daughter says, I don't drink beer, but we produce it. And so to that end, we are going to inevitably struggle with our plight as Black people because we have not taken control over our economic destiny. We're not producing, we're not building businesses. It is our, goal, our Herculean goal, just to get a good job with benefits. But, that's really, really, really short-sighted. The young lady, engineers in heels, that's what we need to be focusing on. Not so much of, somebody going to get a job at Google or Amazon, but to start the next Google, to start the next Amazon. And until we get our financial affairs in play, we will, and not just financial affairs, let me be very clear. Agriculture. If you have no agriculture, you have no culture. If you can't feed yourself, the majority of poor Black people are living off of genetically modified foods, processed foods, no notion of having access to land to grow their own vegetables and produce, foreign concept. McDonald's is king. Subway is king. The whole notion of eating from the 5 food groups, having healthy portions of vegetables, high diets of fiber and protein, oblivious. And this is something that even educated people suffer from. So
you mentioned agriculture, so it just gives me a little, instinctively takes me to Africa.
Yes.
You mentioned Africa earlier on. You said you've been to Ghana,
you've
been to Afikiko, one of the coolest sports in Accra. And so you were, you know what's up. We're checking out Afikiko.
Yes.
You know what's up.
Yes. Okay.
Yes. Having been to Africa, some countries in Africa, you know that the land is fertile. There's a struggle. However, there's a struggle in the agricultural sector. Now, we're celebrating Black History Month. You're talking about African Americans start shifting their mindsets into not just the regular 9-to-5 jobs, but paying attention to agriculture now.
Mm-hmm.
Farming, how to cultivate your own food, how to feed your own self with with natural grown food crops, so to speak. Do you think that it's time now for us to kind of like mix the two or coordinate our efforts, because there's resources. There is 1.3 trillion spending power in the African American community.
Mm-hmm.
There is a gap in Africa in terms of agriculture. There's lack of infrastructure. There's lack of resources and facilities.
Mm-hmm.
But that line is good. Don't you see a connection there?
I definitely see a connection there. And when I traveled from the north to the south of Ghana, particularly, I saw a bunch of Asian investors coming to cultivate the land and exploit the agricultural resource. Can we just be real about it?
Yeah, real. That's true.
All right.
That's very true.
So there is room for foreign direct investment, particularly from the American government, and other first world countries.
Okay.
But more importantly, from private investors within the African American context of people who are looking for business opportunity. We should be looking to go back to the continent of Africa.
Absolutely, because if there's that much spending power, and I know there are so many black people who have made it here in this country, millions, billions, and all that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And all there is to it when it comes to agriculture back home is, look, it's all small scale farming, like peasant farmers.
Mm-hmm.
There is that much investment. I mean, in terms of resources, there's the abundance of them here. In terms of equipment, there's abundance of them here. Ship them to Africa, find a land, grow the crop, ship them back to Africa. Ship them back to America. Okay. There are so many farmers here. The black community, they say there are a lot of food deserts.
Yes.
So why don't we create a grocery store here and bring the food from Africa? Supply the grocery stores here. The land is free. Almost to free. It's abundance of land. It's not expensive. Should we start talking about things like this?
We should start.
If we can feed our economy, half of the job is done.
We should be talking about things like this, but we also must put it in its proper context. When we talk about the spending power of blacks in America being a $1 trillion ability to spend, it's not coordinated.
Okay.
What that means is that we don't invest in our own community. Okay. What that really means is that our dollar stays in the black community about 6 hours per day, whereas a Jewish dollar stays in his community probably about 18 days per month. An Asian dollar stays in this community about 28 days per month. And then Hispanic dollar, Latino dollar, stays in about 3 to 6 days per month. So with that, we're talking about coordinated wealth.
Right.
Coordinated wealth.
Mm-hmm.
What that means is for, hypothetically, the 1.3 million African Americans on the south side of Chicago, what that statistic says is that the majority of our money is not being spent with other black business owners.
Okay.
So if I live on the south side of Chicago,
sorry to catch you. We have before we go we have Joseph on the line, but Rebecca, thank you so much for calling to donate $5 to the show and to the station. We thank you so much. Joseph is on the line. Joseph, please tell us why you're calling today.
Hello.
Yes, Joseph, please go ahead.
Yeah, I'm calling because of I was listening to the radio and what is going on. And I'm trying to, and then the radio also did a lot for my son. I'm trying to donate $200.
Oh, thank you so much. Wow.
To keep this radio going, because this is a radio that is African radio that, is helping a lot of communities. You see how many people come over there people will come there, come with the ideas, and everybody can learn from them. And that means a lot to me.
Thank you.
But I don't know. And I think there's something wrong with our own people. We don't like to give because our mind is so closed. And that's the thing that we have to change. That's the thing we have to talk on the radio station more. How can we open our mind to give? Okay. And that's the thing that we travel from a different country to come to this country. We still don't learn those things. We still want to have all those things because our mind tells us that we don't have to give to nobody. We just keep it and keep on keeping. And where are we going with those things? Where we're going with those money? Where we're going with? If we can try to help each other to grow up to, if it's some problem, if we have a problem, and we can solve it, we can call the radio station, say, hey, we have some problem, and can the radio station step in?
Right.
And that's the thing that we supposed to learn about those things so we can help and keep this radio station on.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much, Joseph. We really up $200. Wow, man.
Yes. It's money because I always know that money is the money close your mind, and the more that you give, the more that your mind is going to open, and you're going to see more things in front of you. But when you're getting greedy, it don't get you to see the ahead of you.
Right.
Because you always want to keep it.
Right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much,
Joseph. I hope somebody also will call it and beat that $200 so I can call back and beat that person.
There you go. I love your challenge. That is the.
Yeah, I hope I'm listening to the radio station. All those people who are listening to the radio station, I want to see somebody beat my $200 so I can call back again.
Wow, you're the best, man. You're the best.
I want to see that. I'm listening to all the people who are watching this thing. Please do something. Let's do something. Let's get this radio station going.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Okay. You're the best. I mean, if we had 10 or 20 of you in our community, I think we'll go very far. Thank you so much. This is
I think we have a lot of people that we just have to reach them.
Right. That's true.
Most of the people who come to the radio station, I think their mind is still closed, but there's a lot of people out there who will do more than the way that I've been giving, and I think you guys can reach them just at time.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Our specialist is going to take your information so you can process the payment.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Well, if you were still with us, this is the Progressive Mind Show. We're talking Black History today with the Reverend Attorney Aaron J. Mcleod. He is giving us a lot of insight into Black History Month, and today also is the Progressive Minds Telethon Day, and what it means is that we are encouraging our community to help us. Help me, help you is a theme for the month and for this moment. And so please call us call us right now if you're, regardless of how you're listening, 773-942-7167. If you're not able to reach us in the Chicago area, I mean outside the Chicago area, Chicago North Side area, because of your location, you can catch us on the TuneIn app by downloading, if you're an Android user, by download the TuneIn app and then search for WGHC. As soon as you download the app, it would suggest a free month trial. Look on top of your screen, cancel out of that, and then and then search for WGHC. If you're an iPhone user, we have an app in the App Store, so you can just download that. You can also visit our website, same place you're making the donation, and listen to us live. There's a number also you can call to do so at it's 563-999-3221. That's the number to call in to listen to the show. We're a 24/7 radio Afro radio station here in Chicago, and so you can catch us all the time. We are also encouraging feedback. There's a monkey survey on Facebook, which is basically asking for your feedback and basic information about you. We are not taking money with the monkey survey. We just want to know how many people are listening to us and for our database. And we want feedback. Any way you think we can do better, please send your feedback in and we will take it. Reverend, let's go back to our conversation now. We want to talk about some of the struggles. I think we have now exhausted the story of Black History Month. You've told us some of the pioneers who have championed the cause up until now. I think we have it. If they can help us with we get the feedback from Joseph. Joseph's on the line. I think we don't. Yeah. Okay. I think we're good now. Up until the era of Martin Luther King, who also continue with the struggle. Can you mention one or two people who have been very, very prolific in the struggle of the Black cause here in America? And I know Black history is not only celebrated in America, in Canada, in UK, and I think in Europe, Netherlands. Can you mention two or three aside modern day, we all know as Martin Luther King, but to you or to in history, is there other people like that you say these people will say will play the most key or the most have the most critical roles?
Well, can I do it this way?
Yeah.
Can we talk about people who play critical roles that we should know about, who we might not know about?
Thank you. Help me with that.
All right. One, Fannie Lou Hamer.
All right.
Fannie Lou Hamer. She was head of the Mississippi Democratic Party. She went to the Democratic National Convention in Atlantic City in the 1960s and said that she was sick and tired of being sick and tired. She was beaten in a Mississippi jail in her efforts to galvanize and organize people to vote. We should know about Fannie Lou Hamer.
Thank you.
We should also know about Vernon Jordan. Vernon Jordan. There would be no Martin Luther King if there were no Vernon Jordan.
Tell me about this man.
You may say, well, what are you talking about, no Martin Luther King if there's no Vernon Jordan? Vernon Jordan was a predecessor preacher of Dexter Avenue Baptist Church, which grew out of the Montgomery bus boycott. That was the church that Martin Luther King led. They had kicked out Vernon Jordan, a graduate of Oberlin College, who was preaching liberation theology, who was trying to get people to divest their resources, black people in particular, from institutions that didn't respect their dollar, didn't show them dignity as people. He was a precursor to the bus boycott. He was a precursor to Rosa Parks. Also, we have not talked about one of the heroes of a black movement, Malcolm X.
There you go.
Malcolm X, Al-Haj Malik El-Shabazz. His autobiography is brilliant. Every young person should get it. I remember I was backpacking across Europe when I was in college when I read his autobiography. Changed my life. And unfortunately, there was when Spike Lee produced his movie entitled Malcolm X, or X, which should have received Academy Award. I mean, just a brilliant movie. There's a front in the black church community, an anti-Muslim front that tried to castigate his efforts because he was not a Christian. We call that ignorant. Ignorant with a capital I. We also want to celebrate the works of the likes of Thurgood Marshall. So with Thurgood Marshall argued before the United States Supreme Court, Brown versus Board of Education, which was a culmination of many other segregations cases that allowed for the integration of public schools in America.
Okay.
Just to name a few.
Just name. Okay. I was going to ask you about the framers. The framers of this country, the Constitution, the framers.
Yeah,
okay.
The framers.
The framers, right, okay.
Yeah.
There's a story about some black people that were actually part of that time or the era that contributed to the Constitution of this country and all that. Do you have any information on that?
Yeah, Christmas Addicts, if I'm not mistaken, was the first person killed in the Revolutionary War.
Right. Whilst you're looking at that, we have a caller on the line. We'll take that whilst you're getting ready for that.
Yes.
Caller, please tell us your name and where you're calling from.
This is Sarah. I'm calling from Skokie.
Hey, Sarah, how are you?
Good. I'm just calling in to say Jackie and I donated. You guys are doing a good job, and we were showing our support, and we hope you guys keep up with a good job.
All right, thank you so much. And okay, am I able to say your donation on air?
No.
No. Okay.
We would like to keep it private.
You want to keep it anonymous? Okay, but God bless you so much. We thank you so much for your help. We know that you'll be replenished of everything that you've given to the cause. You will get it back in 1,000-fold. God bless your heart, and God bless you and your friend Jackie for helping us. Thank you so much.
Sure, you're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, the number is still 773-942-7167. please call now and make your donation as these people have done so far. We so much appreciate you for what you've done, and keep the calls coming. I know some of you have also called the other line, and Gio, our producer, is going to give me the names of those who have not called. If you call the other line and give the information, I'm going to give it out in a moment. Please go ahead.
Yeah, so you have Crispus Attucks. He was killed in the Boston Massacre of the American Revolution. Mm-hmm. He was not a framer. Mm-hmm. Let's be clear. All the framers of our Constitution were white. Okay. White men in particular. But you do have post or during Reconstruction, you had African-American senators, African-American state legislators who eventually were ostracized and squeezed out of the Reconstruction landscape of our country, because we went from slavery to a segregated South under the guise of the auspices of Plessy versus Ferguson and Jim Crow. And so we have contributed to the building of our country in unique ways, in ways that are as significant as our framers.
What would you say to the Afro-Latino community, the Afro-Caribbean community, the Afro community in general, and the African community with regards to Black History Month? And how would you want them to kind of value it, and how would you want them to contribute to the struggle?
First and foremost, share history. Share history. People don't know about Afro-Cuban context of religion in particular. The caudillos and the African guilds that really shape what we know as the Black church. And the influence has been shaped in the African religious and historical cultural experiences. When you look at the Geechee Gullah Islands that span from North Carolina all the way down to Florida, we're not monolithic, but our culture travels, particularly within the cultural residue of us being African people. So
how would you want the African community to understand Black history, right? The value of it. And then how would you want them to practically, right, participate in this constant struggle?
There should be no bifurcation of how should the African community, right?
Because right now, would you say you see the Afro community getting actively involved in the struggle of the Black community here? I mean, if I say Black community, you know what I'm talking about? Okay.
I would say yes from my experience.
Okay.
Why?
Okay.
Because I attend Trinity United Church of Christ. Mm-hmm. Our pastor, my teacher, Otis Moss III, Dr. Otis Moss III, his predecessor, my teacher, Dr. Jeremiah Wright, are Pan-Africanist.
Okay.
They have championed African causes. They have championed African history education.
Vice versa?
Vice versa.
Africans championing the African-American cause in this country?
Yes.
Good.
We own a school or fund a school in Ghana.
Okay.
Salt Pond, Ghana. And we just took a study tour to Ethiopia.
And have you seen African champion projects here?
In my faith context, yes.
Okay.
So, for example,
do you think there's a need for improvement for the African community to actively start getting involved in the Black community, African American communities, and their struggle?
Yes, but it goes both ways. I don't think that, by and large, any Black person is trying to ostracize a Black African from helping in the struggle.
Right.
I think the issue is that we don't know each other's culture,
right,
and we don't see the similarities that, you're my brother, I'm your brother.
Right.
I'm born in the U.S., you're born in Africa.
Absolutely.
We see each other as brothers.
Right.
We don't let the fact that where you were born, or the fact that, my ancestors came over on the slave ships, deter us or draw a bridge between us. Now, our cultures are different, but every conscious-minded Black person in America is trying to connect their roots back to Africa.
But you think that there are more conscious Black people here than non-conscious?
They're more non-conscious.
Good. So,
yes.
which raised the question, or which actually takes me into the this discussion that we've had here before. We've had building a bridge between Africans and African Americans.
Yeah.
We've had those on the show.
Okay, say one thing.
And it's coming up. We're going to do the second part.
Yes.
I mean, what you're saying just
reiterates.
Yes.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But to your point, the only reason why there are more non-conscious black people in America is because they don't know any better.
Right.
They don't know their history.
Right.
If everybody, not black people, but the media tells you that to be African is to be desolate and poor, and that you have flies flying around in your food and around your head and on your stomach, what makes you think that anybody's going to want to connect with that?
Absolutely. Now
it's ignorant.
Now you have been to Africa.
Yes.
Tell us what you've seen aside what you've heard.
Well, two different experiences.
All right.
I'm a doctoral student at McCormick Theological Seminary. I'm a Jeremiah A. Wright Fellow. Jeremiah A. Wright is a former pastor of President Barack Obama.
Yeah.
So he developed a doctoral program in ministry on African theology, not black theology.
African theology.
We learn liberation theology. It's a part of our course, but on African theology. We have scholars like Rachel Harding from the University of Colorado, Denver, who practices candomblé and is an expert on African traditional religion. I'm a Christian preacher.
Okay.
I know about Shango.
Okay.
I know about candomblé. It doesn't freak me out. I know Vodun is not what we make it out to be. It is not sorcery. It's not witchcraft. Okay. That's ignorant to say that.
Okay.
But you don't know that if you don't read or if you haven't had anybody teach you that.
All right.
My point in saying all of that is that Dr. Wright in our program mandated, not suggested, required that we take a study tour to Ghana, South Africa, and in the future, Brazil. My point to tell you that the context between Africa or South Africa, Brazil, and Ghana are different. When I went to Ghana, I'd never seen so many black people in my life. On the entire trip, I probably only saw 10 white people. Traveling from Kumasi, Cape Coast, Accra, going to the slave castles, the door of no return.
Right.
It's nothing like it. To understand that the slave dungeon sat in the basement of a church, a Dutch Reformed church, a Catholic church with Portuguese influence. And I'm supposed to believe in a Christian God?
Well, before we come to the Christian God argument, okay. I know it's a whole topic.
Yeah.
Okay. People are out for it. People are, we also know there's a notion that people abuse, religion, people abuse power and all that when it's supposed to be used for the right thing. What I wanted to find out is you have been to the continent of Africa.
Yes.
You've seen, prior to that, you had your notion of Africa based on what you heard and know, right? Now, having been to Africa, what have you seen which is contrary to what you've been hearing all these years before you went there?
First of all,
in terms of development, cost of living, standard of living, everything, economy-wise.
All right, so let's dispel the myths. Everybody thinks that Africa, one, is a country and it's a continent. There are multiple dialects, multiple countries, multiple tribes. West coast of Africa, Ghana is one of the most beautiful countries I've ever seen.
Okay.
Beautiful vegetation, beautiful culture, wonderful cuisine, the golden stool that I've been to.
Do you say, have you, like, in terms of real estate, there's a notion again that Africa people live everywhere.
Beachfront property. Okay. I went over and I hung out with my fraternity brothers, the brothers of Omega Psi Phi.
Okay.
Chiropractors, dentists. One of them trades futures there. Within my network of people within my fraternity there, we have a chapter, Tau Chi chapter in Accra.
In Accra, okay.
Highly educated, a lot of American educated black men, some educated in Europe, very well off.
Right.
They're not struggling.
Okay.
Now, contrary, South Africa is just like the U.S.
Yeah.
It's a first world country built at the expense of the exploitation of free labor of local black people.
All right.
Is that anything to be proud of?
Well,
no, but my point to your point,
I know.
Nobody's running around with, naked or half nude. It's very industrialized, but at what cost?
Yeah.
So, no, it's a different paradigm.
Well, South Africa's case is, I'll say it's an exception.
Yes.
There are a lot of developed countries in Africa, beautiful landscape, real estate. I mean, Africa, definitely the countries in Africa are not what is portrayed, but I don't think that all of them, majority of the developed countries in Africa were built on the back of cheap black slave or black labor or whatever.
So you said you don't think that all the companies,
and majority of them were not built on their development was not built on the back of black cheap labor.
But they were cultivated through European colonialization.
Because a lot of them were colonial, but yes. So the systems that are being run in the democratic systems and all that.
So Ghana got its independence.
But we run the British system.
Yeah. But more importantly, the British came over and exploited your resources.
Absolutely.
Which is cheap black labor.
Yes.
So it's not saying that, no, it is exploitation. It's just in a different form.
I got you.
Yeah.
The only thing I would say with Ghana is, for instance, the British left over, after a while. They came, they exploited, they took what they had to take. We got our independence. We said we wanted to, govern our own, affairs, and we've been doing that. They left us a whole bunch of money, but we've struggled, from then. Even though now, yes, they came and did what they did. It wasn't 100%. They exploited. They were bad and good, right? Because I will speak for Ghana, because I'm from Ghana. What I'm saying is that some of the monuments that were built during the colonial times, right? I'll tell you that in Ghana right now, those monuments are the ones that we are still proud of. There are few that have been developed or that has been added on top of what the colonials left behind. When we said we want to run our own affairs, I feel like we have the potential to have done more than we have done now. So I'm not saying that kudos to the Western people to coming down to colonize us and doing what they did. What I'm saying is that yes, they left. They're still not there. Unlike South Africa, where
they're still there. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, in majority of these countries, they all left. All these Europeans have left. Now, since they've left, okay, have you moved your country to a point where you're supposed to be at? Because mind you, when Ghana had our independence, was the same time Malaysia and South Korea them had their independence. Right now, you cannot compare Ghana and Malaysia and South Korea economic wise. Those countries have moved towards
the further advanced than Ghana.
That is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So we said we wanted to rule our affairs. The white man was, the Western man was not there. The colonial masters was not there. You wanted to rule your own affairs with all the resources versus South Korea versus Malaysia, who started the same race with you, but they have gone way ahead of you.
And what does South Korea and Malaysia do? They produce goods.
Actually, they invested in their people.
And they export.
There you go. And one of the things that Malaysia exports and does well in is palm oil, which they came to learn how to cultivate in Ghana. They literally came to learn that and pick the palm oil cultivation to South Africa, to Malaysia. But now they are doing so well from what they came to learn from us. So what I'm saying is that, yes, we believe in ourselves. It's good that we have our independence and we are running our affairs, but we have a whole lot to do as a people.
Yes. As far as the African diaspora.
Yes.
We need to do more to support Africa. We need to stick together. Now, here's what we don't want to talk about. We don't want to talk about the Congo.
Yes.
And how we don't have a first-rate transportation system that will send goods from the tip of Africa, Egypt including, all the way down to the south, to have intercontinental trade commerce and exportation outside of the continent of Africa.
Congo is a whole topic on its own. So I am glad that you mentioned it. I think we should talk again. We'll come back and have this wonderful conversation. I just a few credit to people who have called in to donate to us offline. Isis iHeart. Oh, Isis, thank you so much. You called in and donated. We thank you so much. I don't know if you wanted me to mention how much you donated or not, so I'll just leave it silent. I'll just just not say it. But Isis iHeart, my colleague at I will not say the company, but my colleague, my work colleague. Thank you so much for blessing us today. A few people have commented on Facebook. I would go ahead and give them. Okay, the number, someone asked for the number. It's 773-942-7167. We have a few minutes to wrap up tonight's conversation. Please, if you want to help us. Joseph, call the number again so we can take your donation, okay? I think the line went off accidentally. So if you want to call any of the lines on Facebook now, our producer will be able to help you make the payment. Or you can go on our website and make the donation. Johnny Wu says, you are very knowledgeable, Reverend. Unfortunately, we don't promote Black history and culture enough in this country. Sad to say, we don't unite and are very self-destructive. Sedu Jabate says, hello, everybody. Hello, sir. Charity says, we can't hear you, Sana. Is there any issue? Can you hear me?
You're good. That was old.
Okay, good. Let's tell about it. Maya says, suffering from anti-Black tendencies globally. In order to economically build and put together the resources globally that we have to change our mindset towards each other. Maya, how I would have loved for you to call and share your intelligence, which will benefit everybody, because you've shared a lot of nice things here, but I'm not able to go through all of them. One of them is there's a lot of buy Black networks, but Africa must invest resources, and we must invest resources. Do not build, to not only build, but protect. Okay. Let me move on to the next one here. Okay. Let me see here. Okay. The time is 8:45 p.m. Central. And we're still talking to Reverend Attorney Aaron Mcleod. Few minutes to wrap up.
Yes, sir.
Briefly, what are the challenges currently? You've said some of them.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk about a few more challenges that our community is facing, and how can we overcome them, and how can people join the bandwagon in trying to overcome some of the challenges of Black people in the diaspora?
Yeah. In America, particularly Chicago, poverty.
Okay.
Number one. The threshold, we're cutting SNAP benefits. Single parent grandmothers are raising their children, and the benefits to provide food for them are being cut. Poverty, education. Public education in this country, by and large, is abysmal. There was one time where Chicago's public school system was leading the country 30, 40 years ago, where you had vocational education, you had college prep education. People young students were going to high school, graduating, going into the trades, fulfilling union jobs. We are so far away from that. Violence. It's unfortunate what happened in Florida. It's unfortunate what happened in San Diego. But that reality, percentage-wise, is par for the course on a daily basis in, different pockets of our city. I won't even name neighborhoods because I don't want to polarize people. But it's real. Gun control is real. Being able to buy guns illegally on the streets and then having to deal with the effects of that. Guns being in the wrong hands of the people, and then our commander-in-chief suggesting that we should give teachers
more guns
to keep orders. Buffoonery at its highest.
Yes. I in the beginning of the show, it's a tradition of the progressive minds that anytime a situation, a catastrophe of this nature happens in our society, we pay them a 1 minute silence respect on the show. A moment of silence, and this one escaped us, and we weren't able to do that. We apologize for that, but we want to take a moment to acknowledge all the 17 kids that lost their lives in this tragic gun shooting situation that happened in Florida. May their soul rest in peace. We pray for their mothers and their parents, their loved ones, the teachers, those who were injured in this catastrophic situation. We are asking God to give you comfort and protection. We pray that these things do not happen in our community. We pray for God's protection that people are covered and protected by His mercies. And so our hearts go out to them. We pray for their loved ones and their families. We pray for this country. We pray for the state of Illinois, the city of Chicago, that God will be with us and protect our lives. We will take a musical break. Okay, looks like we are having a caller come through. If the caller is not ready, we will take a musical break. Okay, looks like we're not ready for it. We would have you tell us a little bit. You've told us about the courses, some of the courses.
Mm-hmm.
How can people join in the struggle of building a better Black community?
First, I think that there are some organizations that are out here that are doing great work locally here in Chicago that have really championed my work, but more importantly, my study of social justice witness. The Samuel DeWitt Proctor Conference for Social Justice is doing a phenomenal job. I just came back from their national conference in Memphis, Tennessee. It's headquartered here. You want to understand the meaningful justice issues of the day that are plaguing Black people? That is a clearinghouse website, meaningful programs. Their general secretary is Dr. Iva Carruthers, and co-founder by Dr. Jeremiah Wright Jr., as well as the Reverend Dr. Freddie Haynes, just doing amazing work to champion issues that plague our people. Also, we need to raise up a new generation of leaders. I know a Haitian brother down in Florida, Mcleod Obel, who is making a run for school board, runs a nonprofit, Saving Our Youth, but more importantly, is also an entrepreneur. People are pushing him forward because he's engaged to serve and build stronger communities. So when you look at the likes of folk or the new context of young people.
Not to cut you off, but we will take a musical break, and then we can continue with your submission. If please bear with us, listeners.
No worries.
This is the Progressive Mind Show right here at WGAC. It looks like we only have 10 minutes.
We gon' make them like that.
We shall be right back.
Them like them say, we gon' make them like that. Maybe one day you go become president. Amen. See, maybe one day you go become governor. Amen. Or maybe one day you go become footballer. Amen. Or maybe one day you go become minister. Amen. Maybe one day you go become ritualist. God forbid. Or maybe one day you go become aristo. God forbid. Or maybe one day you go become a robber. Or maybe one day you go become kidnapper. We dey hustle every day. We don't tell when we don't dey pray. Anything where them like them say, we go make them like Dangote. We dey hustle every day. We don't tell when we don't dey pray. Anything where them like them say, we go make them like Dangote. One day I want to make it, yeah, amen. I want to buy private jet, yeah, amen. I want to drive big car like a Bentley, yeah. I want to be close friends with Mr. Michael Collins, yeah, amen. Poverty is not my portion. Leprosy in Jesus' name, never. Think I cash HIV is not my own. In the mighty name of Jesus, I pray. We dey hustle every day. We don't tell when we don't dey pray. Anything where them like them say, we go make them like Dangote. We dey hustle every day. We don't tell when we don't dey pray. Anything where them like them say, we go make them like Dangote. We go get the biggie moto. Yeah, amen. Anywhere we enter, we get the many mopo. Yeah, amen. They want take photo. Yeah, amen. The sweet things where they pull you from and you go plenty. Yeah, amen. Man, we never run down. Oh, we never run dry. Oh yeah, see our family we not die. My eyes, your eyes, we not cry. God blessings, we never tell you bye bye. We dey hustle every day. We don't tell when we don't dey pray. Anything where them like them say, we go make them like Dangote. We dey hustle every day. You don't tell when we don't dey pray. Anything where them like them say, we go make them like Dangote. You go become addict, yo. See, after this song, you go love and keep baby, yo. Yeah.
Welcome back to the Progressive Mind Show at WGHC 98.3 FM. Your voice, your music, your station. We have 7 minutes to the top of the hour, 9 p.m. Central Time. The Straight Talk show is coming up. This is the Igbo show, and you want to stay tuned for that. Please wrap up for us. You've been excellent. Reverend Attorney Aaron Mcleod, please wrap up for us. In terms of your last words, and what the goals are, what are some of the projects, what are some of the things that are being in place, what are some of the movements that are currently going on that you think the community should be aware of and should be part of.
Gotcha.
Maybe in the next 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I'll be 3 minutes if you can.
3 minutes. Yeah. Again, there are existing programs out here that are doing, existing leaders who are doing meaningful programs. Rainbow Push, they're always going to be on the front line to combat issues of race and poverty, especially they have the infrastructure to combat on the drop of a dime. The Urban League, we want to support those organizations as well. As I said, people know to turn to the Samuel DeWitt Proctor Conference for meaningful information on justice-watch issues or justice issues. You have a myriad of churches that are doing great things. Trinity United Church of Christ, my church, St. Stephen's Lutheran Church. I attempt every Sunday morning when I preach to champion Black history, African history, to tell the congregation, to tell people on Facebook that we are Black and we're beautiful, that we can overcome and do anything. I challenge us to fight our inadequacies, to fight our low self-esteem, to be better than we currently are, to serve people, to help protect and build children. So we must stick together. I want to support you in the future in your endeavors here.
Thank you.
I think that WGHC is an awesome idea.
Thank you.
People need to know more about this endeavor, and I want to partner with you, help you raise some resources, help you raise awareness, because the quality of your programming is awesome. Minister Linda Lawrence told me about you all, and we're going to partner.
Thank you.
My church, your radio station, my networks become your networks, because we said all today, the underlying premise of Black History Month is to talk about our history, get people to African people to build self-efficacy and stick together.
Absolutely.
We're going to embody that.
Thank you so much.
We're going to embody
Thank you so much. You nailed it right on the head. And so one of the reasons why we're asking for donations is some of the programs that we have, especially the Afro Youth event coming up, which is basically instilling confidence in Afro youth students and youth around in and around Chicago colleges.
Yes.
And so it's coming up in April on the 7th. We'll get further details. We are also going to have a black party in this community.
All right.
It's also coming up in May. And the big one is in June. It's called CACON, Chicago African Cup of Nations. It's basically a soccer tournament of all the Afro-descent communities, including the black community. So if you know a big soccer team in your community, you wanted to join. The theme is a fight against gun violence and crime in Chicago. We're going to have people living with gun violence, people who are victims of gun violence come and speak. We are inviting clergy, political figures, city, county, statewide, and state to come to this event. These are some of the things that we have in store for the community.
I tell you this, you hold me accountable as I hold you accountable. Every special event that you have, I guarantee you that I will bring out at least 5 clergy who are under the age of 40.
Okay.
Who are leading congregations to help learn about African issues, African endeavors, and to be a part of these things. My church, we're a different church. We have a block party.
All right.
You know, within the African context, there's no difference between the secular and the sacred. That's John Kinney. All that to say is we love music.
Right.
We need to be exposed to the African DJs.
Okay.
Shout out to DJ Bonzu. That's my frat brother.
That's the DJ Bonzu, right? DJ, you got it funny. Actually, he's my friend too. So you have two friends on the show.
So all that to say is let's partner.
Okay.
Let's work together.
We'll do that.
All those festivals,
Yes.
I'm going to be at.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Hey, for all those who have donated to the cause today, Sarah, Jackie, Rebecca, Isis, I heard Johnny Woods just called in to help us also. Thank you so much, Johnny Woods. Joseph donated $200. He challenged the community to beat his $200. Nobody was able to beat it tonight. But Joseph, thank you so much. You've won the challenge for today. We God bless you and your son and your family. Great things are coming your way. Believe that. Great things is coming our community. And we encourage you to continue with this conversation. Keep sharing the feed if you're on Facebook. If I wasn't able to mention your name, give me a second to do that. I think I missed it. Mike Obil, Terrence Clayton says Doric, says Reverend Mcleod. Well, I'm sorry. Time is far spent, so I'm not able to go through all the names. Joe Chermantin just joined us. Next week, Tuesday, we'll be coming your way with another wonderful conversation with the Progressive Mind Show. Remember, to whom much is given, much is required. This has been your host, Alinko, with the Progressive Mind Show. Stay blessed, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Every day we pray for the bread and butter, working night and day, so one day we go find